Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we're talking Monday Night Raw. We're 1 month away from WrestleMania.
26 days.
26 days. And we had stuff happen. Like, you know, look, obviously the most interesting stuff is the dynamic, the interpersonal dynamics, if you will, between the characters of the Usos, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. You know, we had talked about, are they just going to promo this? Well, now we've got a little bit of intrigue. I know last week we were talking about could the Usos potentially turn on Roman Reigns? So we're going to explore that idea and what it looks like it's shaping to be and what additional surprises they can throw our way, because that's where the good stuff is and all the other stuff that happened on Monday Night Raw. But first, we have an update on Bron Breakker. Maybe.
It's from PW Insider. PW Insider had to say the following, quote, Bron Breakker was spotted today at the WWE Performance Center. PW Insider Elite reported exclusively over the weekend that Breakker was expected at the PC this week as he works towards being cleared to return to the ring after hernia surgery. There is no official word on a timetable for his return, but obviously the company would love him cleared and back in time for WrestleMania. When Heyman came out for that promo, when he says, "No one is watching my back." After reading this morning, I half expected Bron to show up. It would have made sense.
Yeah. It kind of seems like they're just waiting as long as let me ask you, do you think that they've written Seth Rollins off to prison for like the next 2 weeks or something until Bron Breakker shows back up?
That could be. I don't know. You know, when you start getting like lawyer stuff involved in pro wrestling angles, it kind of takes some of the steam out of it. So
my glass half full approach would be, we get to do some vignettes in prison with Seth Rollins, and somehow his masked men show up there to take on, you know, in sort of like a prison gang fight situation. And he goes around stomping, you know, all the bad guys, all the nefarious guys, you know, nails and whatnot. Maybe he shows up. I don't know if he's still with us.
I know they're in Boston tonight. Maybe they get sent to like Rikers Island or something like that.
There you go.
In New York.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. You know, they do some sort of jailbreak situation.
Yeah.
I mean, get really creative.
You can license the Thin Lizzy song of the same name.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Like, do something like that. Seth Rollins returns his nails, you know? Like, he's nails part 2.
That.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Get creative. You know, they need to get goofier with things. We need more fiction in WWE, man. We need more like, oh, wow, they wrote Seth Rollins to go to prison. That's different.
I guess. But again, you know, often when they get police involved or restraining orders involved, lawyers involved in pro wrestling storylines, it usually doesn't make said storylines more interesting.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a first time for everything.
I guess
there's a first
time
for everything.
They saw that and they said challenge accepted.
Yeah, I think
Try to make this interesting.
You know, Seth Rollins out there pitching for prison. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that whole situation. It definitely seems like treading water. And I mean,
you know what? If only Seth's masked men crew could have showed up tonight, they could have done the human maelstrom around him, and he could have got lost in the mall and maybe not gotten arrested tonight.
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen. Is it? I mean, is that sort of, are we bearing the lead? Does it seem like it's more the bigger story? Our lead story should actually be, have they dropped that ridiculous? He had the masked man, but the masked men plural gimmick.
He actually had 2 masks on tonight.
Has he just taken all the masks from the men, putting them on himself now?
Maybe next week they have 30 masks on. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I'm kind of expecting, maybe he'll be out next week in jail, which is stupid. No, next week is Madison Square Garden. He's not.
Yeah,
they're not going to have Seth
he'll be at
Madison
MSG.
Square Garden.
Yeah. They might do a thing, whether it's online during the week or on Raw, where he gets bailed out or something like that.
Do the mugshot T-shirt.
There you go.
That'll sell. Maybe it'll be a good Seth Rollins shirt for once. Anyways, he gets bailed out, and then maybe Bron Breakker bails out Paul Heyman, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know,
Spears, Seth, Mania match made.
Yeah. Seth didn't really seem to sweat being hauled away. I'd be terrified of a bunch of cops that were sending me to prison. You know, I wouldn't be laughing or smiling. I'd be like, I don't even know a lawyer. Can we call our old family lawyer for the custody stuff we had to deal with?
But, you know, like lawyers are expensive too.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, I don't have money. Yeah. I don't have money. I guess I'll start like a GoFundMe.
There you go.
Law fees.
Steve here, legal fund.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Monday Night Raw a little bit.
Let's talk about the CM Punk, Usos, Roman Reigns business. So as Jay in particular was quite the hothead tonight.
I like
Monday
that.
Night Raw.
Yeah, I like that they're maintaining at the very least. Number one, Jay had a couple of great lines tonight, or at least very telling lines. One of which was, "I don't give a damn about no WWE Tag Team Championships," which kind of like gives you some insight into where his head is.
Oh, he cares about the World Heavyweight Championship. Always has.
And then of course, obviously, as Corey Graves pointed out, like clear as day, he called the shot. Told Roman, get back in there and get him.
He didn't call him Roman. He said, Joe.
Yeah.
Get back in there and get him.
Now, picking up from our discussion last week, this does not sound like a person who needs or craves an apology from Roman Reigns. Can we put that to rest?
Seemingly, for the moment at least.
Now, I think there's probably a road to Usos turning on Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I think so. I think we saw maybe a hint of that tonight when Roman says, respectively, Jim.
Respectfully,
yes. Get you and your brother out of my ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think we're going to have a situation where Jay, going back to that talk that Roman had with him, where Roman's more like, hey, we're on the same level now. Mm-hmm. So now Jay is starting to call the plays because he thinks I'm on the same level as Roman. Roman, listen. And I think there's a good chance in the next 26 days there's going to be a lot of tension that arises from that. Where Jay, tonight, Roman listened to him call the play. Roman ran it. And it was successful. That's going to embolden Jay. Roman, though, he's still of the opinion that's his ring. He's not going to take too kindly to taking too many orders from Jay.
Yeah.
And they got Jay as the hothead, so he's to be the one that starts it.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. Is Jay going to end up? Is Jay as loose cannon going to end up costing Roman, or like you said, is Jay being emboldened going to lead to the Usos straight up turning on him? And where does Jimmy? You know, it is echoing. I think in a strong way, in a good way, the old bloodline dynamic, because you have Jimmy kind of in the middle. And, you know, at various times, they all, you know, got a little taste of power. And ultimately, that's obviously what corrupts. And so I do, you know, I think this can go in any number of directions, none of which are entirely clear. And I think that is the strength of what's happening right now. And I think it's entirely possible that the Usos turn on Roman. They just walk out on him. They end up trying to help him, but fuck it up. I think there's so many different avenues by which they can take this. Obviously, in a match with Punk, it's going to be a bloodline type match. And so that means there's going to be some overbooking stuff. And
absolutely.
So, you know, exactly what is that? And that's going to be the intrigue heading into this match. And I think they've utilized the bloodline history in a really positive manner here, and you counter that with what they did at War Games 2 years ago, and it was like not fulfilling at all because they really didn't address those same dynamics all that much, if at all. It was just sort of a greatest hits tour.
Yeah,
and I think that this is a really interesting way to go, and I'm really glad that. You know, when we had referred to Jey Uso getting a demotion to the tag ranks, the worst case scenario was he's just happy Jey being in the tag team division. And we didn't get that. We got what might be the best case scenario. Yeah, he's in, and they can win those tag titles kind of in their sleep. Mm-hmm. But he got a taste of the big time, and he had Roman saying, you need to be going after that world title. And he didn't forget that. And that's a smart move by Creative.
And that's another aspect of it is, Roman telling Jay, you have to go after that World Heavyweight Championship. And yet, Jay's not in the position to do that at Mania. His cousin is. The person who told him you have to keep going after that World Heavyweight Championship. And there could be some amount of resentment there because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know. And how Punk is kind of playing his side of things, given how beat to shit he got tonight.
But laughing in the end.
But laughing at the end, saying, I'm not, because they were trying to, like medical was trying to help him. He's like, I'm not the one who needs help.
Yeah.
The implication is Roman is the one who needs the help. So it'd be an interesting kind of twist on things. Not that I think this is necessarily going to happen, but I guess it's a possibility. If Punk's constant assertions that Roman can't do anything by himself, and then Punk's the one that ends up winning, whether because of intentional help from the Usos or just the Usos, primarily Jay, wanting to stick it to Roman.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a kind of situation where, assuming Roman is not interested in spending a lot of time wrestling from here on out. And he said as much. He said he has a year or two left.
Mm-hmm.
If Jay is going to stick around, and they know that they still have some potential for Jay to swing back around to world champion territory, if the right story is presented, obviously the history's there, but if the right story is presented, is it possible they use this somehow to run back Roman versus Jay at SummerSlam, and the intention then is get Jay over?
That could be,
have him win against Roman Reigns, which going back how many years now is something that I think people wanted to see. You drudging up the bloodline stuff. And granted, in 2026, is it something that a large part of the fan base will, I think maybe I think with the right story, they'd be interested in it.
Yeah, I think that is the key is the right story. If the situation is now we see week after week, Jay adopting more of the approach of Roman in the original Tribal Chief days, going back to 2021, whatever it was, 2020. We see him kind of become, the Tribal Chief now, or try to assert that he is the Tribal Chief now. And then it eventually leads to that match, whether it's SummerSlam or some other show. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Yeah.
And I think it's the kind of thing that Joe, Roman Reigns as a person would be like, yeah, let's finish that story. Mm-hmm. Because, you let Cody Rhodes finish his story on me. Let's have Jey Uso, who I understand that there is some section of the fan base that's like, oh, Jay is just an entrance. But if you go back and you look at his story, it is one of the more interesting stories WWE has told within the context of the bloodline. And it sort of went astray once he got to the top. But I think there's a lot more than they can mine. And I think Roman would probably be the first guy to step up and be like, I put over Bronson Reed. You're telling me I can't put over Jey Uso? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah, that could be pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Raw, what else happened, et cetera. But we also have some sponsors for the show this week, Larson. So let's go ahead and talk about them.
Let's do it. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by Pocket Hose, the world's #1 expandable hose. I've been doing a lot of yard work of late, and once again, I got jobbed out to my old-fashioned hose. Apparently, I'm the Brooklyn Brawler of yard work these days.
Oh, my goodness.
No water comes out of this thing half the time because it's constantly getting kinks and creases in it. I can't put into words how frustrating it is.
Get enough kinks and creases, and you get little holes in it, and water comes out, but it comes out like halfway down the hose, man. I thought we talked about this already. You should have listened to me. You get rid of that old-fashioned hose. Got yourself a pocket hose Copperhead. The Copperhead's pocket pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and total freedom to water anywhere. Let me guess, man. This old school hose, this old man hose, super bulky. It's just a pain to move around, right?
You got that right. I feel like I'm trying to wrestle Andre the Giant out there. It's so unwieldy.
Oh, man. Andre the hose up. Well, Larson, when you're done using the pocket hose Copperhead, the hose shrinks back down to pocket size so you can move it effortlessly and store it easily. It's lightweight, it's durable, and has made watering my backyard a breeze. Steve up.
Steve up. For a limited time, Going In Raw listeners can get a free pocket pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size copperhead hose. Just text RAW to 64,000. That's RAW to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. RAW to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. And this episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by Prize Picks. We love ourselves some hoops, basketball here at Going In Raw. Plus, I've always been a huge stats nerd. I think I found a way I could combine those two passions with Prize Picks.
Prize Picks makes every dunk, diamond board that much more exciting. And right now you can shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5.
And getting started with Prize Picks is super easy. Just pick more or less on the 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. You could pick from all your favorite sports, anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. With Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. Say you think SGA is going to have a huge night and you want to pick more on points, 3-pointers made, and assists. With Stacks, you can do that and pick all of them in the same lineup. If you're looking for more flexibility, you can choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. Or if you want the largest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test.
Download the Prize Picks app today and use code GOINGINRAW to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code GOINGINRAW to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So elsewhere on Raw, I mean, where do you, like what else sort of like, you know, headline would you say?
I mean, I guess the thing I have next in the notes after the Punk Roman stuff is Oba Brock opened the show. Crowd super into Oba.
Another win for Oba Femi. Another win for Oba Femi.
Yeah, you know, during Heyman's promo before Oba came to the ring, you know, he referenced some of our reservations about how the initial confrontation was kind of portrayed, in that it seemed like Oba up there, maybe not Oba up at Mania. And I think by referencing that, Heyman saying, "Oh, you had your WrestleMania moment last week," it kind of puts those concerns to bed. Because you're acknowledging it. In the, you know, I'm sure we weren't the only one who thought, "Oh, Oba is so dominant there. That's his huge moment over Brock." Puts a win at WrestleMania somewhat in doubt, but I think by acknowledging it, you kind of quell those concerns maybe a little bit. Oba up again tonight.
Yeah.
I would imagine Brock's going to be on Raw next week. Brock's going to try to get the better of Oba again, but he's going to have to do it in some sort of shady fashion. He's going to have to do a sneak attack or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, Brock's got to get the upper hand on Oba. By the way, Brock did a tremendous sell over the top rope, bump over the top rope.
2 weeks in a row, Brock has done a great job putting Oba over. Yeah,
a real terrific job.
And not just the bump over the rope, but the sell and the magnitude of the moment while he's down there on the floor thinking to himself, you know, I saw him coming and he still wrecked me.
Yeah. But that flip over the rope was ridiculous.
It was, yeah, for
like
someone that size, I know.
A dude that size, that age.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I was like, whoa, buddy, that might be the match right there. That was, but no, he terrific. All told, he did a terrific job. And yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, here's my thing about it. It goes back to the original conversation in that Oba needs his Mania moment. And Oba should be it for Brock. I mean, you know, Oba beating Brock should be the priority over everything. It should be the priority over Gunther beating Brock in a retirement match. This matters more than that. And if you do Brock barely escaping against Oba, but still winning, it ain't enough. That doesn't work because it doesn't even accomplish the goal of Brock is strong. You know, I
feel like it's got to be one of two things: Oba up, And then maybe if Brock is going to have his retirement match at SummerSlam, they got to start telling that story. And, maybe if he loses to Oba, and I don't know exactly how they could phrase it. Maybe not Brock feels like he's losing a step, but something along those lines. Maybe this generation of wrestlers has passed him by, something like that. Where you have Oba just dominating him at WrestleMania. The other alternative is they create mass destruction in the ringside area. You do a double countout situation where they both are just doing incredible, crazy things, but there's no winner. In no universe should Oba lose that match.
Yeah, I think that option right there, like if they're insistent on Brock not losing and staying strong, then that's what you do.
But you got to do some crazy shit to make it wildly entertaining.
Yeah, you got to do it's Mania, so I don't know how they can get away with busting the ring.
Yeah, they couldn't unless it main evented.
Yeah, right. But you do the thing they did, I think, with Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman ages ago, where they did a car gets destroyed.
Yeah.
You do crazy. You're 1,000% right. You do crazy ass shit. And it's not a win. It's not Brock breaking Taker's streak. It's not that. But it's not terrible. It's not like he loses. Like that. It's acceptable.
Yeah, if they do a double count out or the ref calls a match. Would it be as satisfying as Oba winning? Obviously not.
No.
But it's much better than Oba losing.
Yeah.
And, if you want to have some sort of thing where Brock acknowledges Oba as, the future, you could have that too afterwards or on the next Raw or something. I don't know. But, yeah, there's no way that Oba should lose at WrestleMania. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. We
got another match made for Mania. One that we expected, and that's AJ Lee defending that Intercontinental Championship against Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. This has not been my favorite feud in the world. It's just promo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was the attack last week, yeah, but it's just been promo, and it's just nothing is terribly compelling here. AJ's not terribly compelling. Becky's not terribly compelling. It's just a lot of talking, and there's no real twists or turns. There's not a lot there,
Yeah, it'd been interesting if they had put an element like Bayley into it, just to kind of mix up the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Plus Bayley's a fantastic wrestler. The match would be incredible.
Well, the idea that Becky could, and we're fucking fantasy booking here, but the idea that Becky can obviously try to use Bayley to basically be like a human shield kind of sorts, get her on her side in a triple threat. So it turns into kind of a handicap match. Then you got Lyra, Bayley's legit friend, trying to talk her down from whatever, nostalgia of their past relationship that Becky's trying to manipulate her with, because Bayley is obviously a person at this point who seems like she could be easily manipulated. And that's something interesting they could dive into. And that could even feed, some interesting stuff for AJ Lee. But without that added dynamic, there's just not a lot there, It's like some of Becky's lines have been fine, but it hasn't been interesting. And it's a bummer because they're both capable of really good stuff.
Without a doubt, yeah. Yeah, and I expect the match should be really good.
The match should be really good, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of compelling drama, not a whole lot of it, no.
So let's go ahead and dive into it. We'll talk about first in detail the CM Punk Roman Reigns face-to-face stuff. That's the thing about these face-to-faces. It's I'm always thinking to myself, all right, are we going to get something good for the thumbnail for the title that's going to draw people in to hear what we have to say about it? And at first, Punk seemed like he had one of them promos that he was coasting on previous promos. But then the Usos show up and it gets a lot better. So
it does. Yeah. They shouldn't have had Punk go out there and talk as long as he did before the Usos showed up.
So Punk, the first time we see him, he's walking through Gorilla. I don't remember if they had him at the beginning showing up, but
I don't recall either.
But Punk was walking through Gorilla. He sees Jimmy Uso there. Jimmy is his pensive old bloodline self. Not trying to tell you what to do. Be careful. My brother's on a warpath. Punk says, "Thanks, Big Jim." Mockingly.
Real sarcastic, yeah.
We're all sarcastic. Tries to eyeball him. Jim he just looks down. So Punk makes his way out to do a promo. He says, you guys hear what Jimmy said? Watch what I say, because his brother Jay is on a warpath. He says, I suppose I should watch what I say. No? Okay. Goes to show you that, because the crowd's like, no, don't do what he says. He says,
kind of. It wasn't like, it wasn't like a raucous response. No. So they had to ask it again.
He says, it goes to show you Roman can't do anything without his cousins. He says, what I didn't know is that the cousins can't do anything without Roman. No one can do anything by themselves in that family. Nobody could be heavyweight champion of the world, although Jay was. He says, I got them so shook. Last week, Roman said his entire bloodline come after me if they choose. He says, you know how many since then have looked at me cross? 0. He says, pardon my language, earmuffs for the kids. This is a shit talk business. He said, we say awful things to each other to sell the fight. He says, those are just words, though, in Boston. I got to be honest. Being in a badass blue-collar city, I'm tired of talking. He says, Roman did say one thing that pissed me off, and he talks about being called old. And he says, you know what? I'm proud of being old. He says, if I wasn't, I'd be using Just for Men in my beard like Roman Reigns does, like my opponent, Pappy O'Daniel, does. He says, am I old? Yeah. Am I ashamed? No. I'm proud of it. I'm like Terry Funk, middle-aged and crazy. I'm the same age Nolan Ryan was when he beat Robin Ventura's ass on the mound. Gordie Howe played till he was 52, and they called him Mr. Hockey. He says, the older I get, the better I get. It's the old pro wrestling trope. Yep. He should have brought that shit up. He should have brought up more pro wrestlers.
I know.
He should have said, like, because I think Hogan was like 48 when he took on The Rock at Mania.
You know, WWE's like kind of circling a thing with Tom Brady. You should mention Tom Brady. He played till he was 45 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. He
says, there's the TB12 method. There's the CM Punk method.
Right, exactly. He basically says, you know what? I'm old. I feel great. And then he says, he said at WrestleMania, this old man will tie you into knots 20 minutes deep when you're gasping for air and all that oil and jizz you put on yourself dries up. He says, like your chances of being a champion. He says, when I hit that GTS, you won't get beat up by any old man. The old man. He says, I thought this was tough. You know who's tough? Gunther. You know what else? You know who else is tough? Jey Uso. He says, if I got to fight all the Samoans, let's start with him. I'll do it in Boston. What's he going to do? Yeet me to death? And he's saying this while Jay's music hits.
Yeah.
So Jay gets in, head full of steam. Says, what are you going to do? Throw hands or talk? And Punk kind of cuts him off at the ring, and Jay's like, let me get in. Let me get in. So Jay gets in. He says, your ass is old, Punk. He says, you got hit in the head too many times. Still out there keeping my name in your damn mouth. He says, running about my family and me. He says, I'll run it back on your old ass right now. So they're about to throw. Punk's like, I'm not dressed, but I don't care. I'll throw. I'm a fighting champion. You hear Jimmy Uso's voice. He says, hey, wow, whoa, hold on. Punk says, what are you doing out here? Jimmy says, I'm not talking to you. He says, he tells Jay, he says, I understand how you feel, but every time you get emotional, all you see is red. Because of that, we got DQ'd earlier tonight. He says, next week, our title's on the line. Jay says, I don't care about no damn tag titles. Jimmy says, lock in, listen to me. Leave him to Roman. He says, we ain't got nothing to do with him. And Jay says, it's got everything to do with us. All this fool do is talk shit about the family. He says, no, matter of fact, where's Roman? He says, nowhere, but I guess I'm here. That brings out Roman. So he gets in.
Punk's doing this.
He's having a blast. He's having so much fun because this is exactly what he wants. So yeah, he does the Scott Hall. So Roman comes to the ring and he says, he looks at Jimmy. He says, last time I checked, you already had a tag match. Is that right? It's done now, right? Jimmy, like, yeah. He says, I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. Get your brother and leave my ring. Punk says, no, stay. He needs the help. All cheeky. So Jay has had enough of it. And they did a really great job with the choreography here because it honestly looked like Jay slipped by Jimmy, who was trying to hold him back. And so he charges into Punk. Punk ends up decking him, lays him out. Jimmy and Punk scrap a little bit. And as Jimmy sort of has Punk, Roman hits him with the Superman punch.
To the back of the head.
To the back of the head. So Jay gets pulled out, tells Roman, because like at that point the producers come in, and Roman's not exactly sure what to do. He starts to leave, but the Usos are on the outside already, and the producers are holding him back. And Jay starts barking orders at Roman. Roman happily obliges.
Yeah.
Jay says, get him. You know what to do. Get back in there and get him. Like he's the tribal chief.
Mm-hmm. Calls
so
him
Roman
Joe.
does that. Yeah. He says, Joe, get back in there. So Roman does that, hits him with the spear, takes him to the outside, power bombs him through the announce table, and throws some more shots, starts to walk away. Punk is just laughing. And he's like selling the pain, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And the producers or the EMTs and whatnot, they're saying, do you need help? Do you need help? He's, I don't need help. I'm not the one that needs help. And he's just laughing.
Yep.
So he got the upper hand once again.
Yep. Even though he got laid out.
Yeah.
Let's move to the beginning of the show. That was Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. They come to the ring.
Yeah, by the way, thank you for letting me know about Netflix's issue. Later on in the night, that stopped being an issue.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
So
and on VPNs it wasn't, so I'm sure this is just a Netflix glitch. But yeah, like they were making me watch live. I usually wait till like 5:45 to turn it on.
You fast through all the commercials and entrances.
All the commercials, yeah.
So Heyman does his usual stuff, his introduction, introduces Brock as, NCAA D1 champ, UFC champ, WWE champ, blah, blah, blah. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, you're pissing off Brock Lesnar. The reason you are is because let's all be honest with each other about what happened last week. Last week, Brock Lesnar laid waste to 5, 10, 20 guys, laid them all out all over here, then got distracted by Seth Rollins. And that is when a man so overhyped by WWE took advantage. He says this overhyped wannabe ruler comes down and takes advantage of the fact that Brock fought 20 men, was distracted, and took advantage of that. For those of you watching, they're reacting about the fact I'm talking about Oba Femi, because the crowd's going crazy for Oba, chanting. Says this, ladies and gentlemen, is the saddest part. How many times have we heard this same narrative? Oh, this opponent for Brock is the next big thing. This will be the slayer of the beast. He will be the conqueror's conqueror. When the Undertaker got his streak conquered, we're still pissing people off years later. Did Undertaker get revenge? Oh, no. Then came everyone. Goldberg, no. Braun Strowman, no. Dean Ambrose, he says. No, not him. Kind of chuckling as he said that.
Crowd pop for Dean, too.
Yeah. Bobby Lashley, no. It wasn't AJ Styles or John Cena. It won't be Oba, who had his WrestleMania moment when he put his foot on Brock's chest and pointed the sign last week. That's all you get. You peaked. At WrestleMania, you'll be beaten, taken to Suplex City, taken F5. Oba Femi, you'll be conquered by Brock Lesnar. Lights go out. Oba's music hits. He comes to the ring. We get a stare down. Brock kicks him in the gut, looks for an F5. Oba escapes and then clotheslines him out of the ring. And Brock took a hell of a tumble.
Dude,
he's on the floor just shocked. And the crowd's going crazy for Oba. And Heyman talks to Brock, and they leave up the ramp.
Dude, I would love, it's funny because for everything that we know of Paul Heyman when he's always telling these, fairly intricate stories, at least for pro wrestling as a creative, mind, I understand keeping things simple with Brock Lesnar. I do. You look at Brock and you should keep things simple. But if he does end up losing to Oba, which I think it's either going to be Brock wins or they do what you suggested, like a double count out thing or a double DQ. It is interesting that I don't think Heyman would ever consider an introspective Brock Lesnar. Maybe he just feels that's so far out of character, but it would be really interesting if Paul Heyman actually tried to put his creative juices to an interesting final Brock story.
If Brock is going to retire at SummerSlam, now's the time to try it.
I know.
And what better way to kickstart that whole thing than have him lose to Oba?
Yeah.
From that vantage point.
But isn't that story, dude? Doesn't that story necessitate him beating Gunther on his way out?
No.
You don't think so?
No, not at all.
Guy loses, has self-doubts, loses again.
Yeah. This generation's passed him by.
All right. We had the Usos taking on The Vision.
Yeah.
In a championship, it was eliminator match.
Yeah, championship contender. That's what WWE used to call them.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't there a period of time they had those like every week? There was like
they did. That was Vince's favorite thing for like 5 weeks.
Wasn't there like a Charlotte contender match like twice? It was like a contender match, then a contender rematch.
I think so. Was that the same night she had 2 promos back to back?
Maybe. I don't know.
Remember there was all that time that he decided he didn't want commercial breaks during wrestling, so everything was 2 out of 3 falls?
I'm telling you, dude, when people bring up, oh, Vince McMahon, he did it better. Maybe back in the fucking 90s, dude. But like once we got to 2018, 2019, all of a sudden at the age of like fucking 70, whatever he is, he was like, we don't want wrestling during commercials, so we're going to have everything be a 2 out of 3 falls match. You think that was just nostalgia? Because like back when he was a kid, I think that was a common thing.
For
like
title matches. For title matches, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, championship matches, I think, were fairly regularly 2 out of 3 falls. It wasn't an uncommon thing. But the standard match? No, I don't think that was the standard thing at all. So the Usos are taking on the Vision. The Vision get the win via DQ because at one point the ref's distracted by Austin Theory. Logan Paul gets the brass knuckles out of his trunks. Then LA Knight's music hits. He runs down, throws Logan into the steps, gets the knuckles, and throws him in the ring at Jay. And so Jay, in full view of the ref, puts the brass knuckles on and punches Austin Theory. And so the Vision win by DQ. And so he leaves the ring, and LA Knight's like, all right, I get it. All right, sure. It's fine. Jimmy, as usual, is kind of, yeah, whatever. So Jay turns around, slides back of the ring, and punches Logan with the brass knuckles. Mm-hmm. They get the tag titles. They leave. So later on, Usos and LA Knight are backstage, and Jimmy thanks LA Knight for the help. And LA Knight says to Jay, you could have hidden the brass knuckles and got the win. And Jay says, no hiding. Everyone who speaks wrong of the family gets got. And LA Knight's like, hey, I understand, but when you talk like that, you're talking like Roman. And Jimmy's like, whoa. Slow your roll there, LA Knight. And so they start yelling at each other. And Jimmy tells LA Knight, I'd watch your words.
What the hell's LA Knight going to do at WrestleMania?
At this juncture, it seems like a whole lot of nothing. So you have a match? Huh?
Do you think he's hoping that they figure out Tom Brady versus Logan Paul? Oh, is it going to be LA Knight and Tom Brady against Logan Paul and the Austin Theory?
Maybe.
He's hoping. He's like, come on, Tom Brady. Megastar needs you. Yeah.
So speaking of Paul Heyman, we mentioned this earlier. He's backstage talking to Adam Pearce. And he tells Adam Pearce, schedule a match for Madison Square Garden next week. Usos defending against the Vision in a street fight. And Pearce just says, you give me something to consider. Oh, and another thing. You asked for time to address Seth Rollins. That time is now. And Heyman's like, you still want me to go out there after everything I've been through today? And Pearce says, you wanted it? The time is now. And Heyman says, I've had it with everyone around here. I'm sick of it. All right. And he leaves. He goes to the ring. Says, I'm having a really bad night. Not just because after a 40-year Hall of Fame career, I'm contractually obligated to appear in Boston.
And
having
Paul Heyman in Boston.
I'm having a bad night because there's no one for me to hide behind. Braun and Bronson won't be back soon. Brock is so pissed he already left. Logan and Austin Theory are half conscious. That just leaves me. He talks about Seth. He says, despite who I play on TV, I'm a man, and I'm a man pushed too far. Seth is a man who feels the same way, which means WWE isn't big enough for both of us. This isn't a challenge. We know I don't stand a chance in a match. It's not a challenge to a fight tonight, but the choice am I left with. So maybe it's time Seth came down here and put me out of my damn misery. Maybe it's time we do this right here, right now. If you think I'm afraid of circumstances like this, you're right, but sometimes a man has to do what a man has to do. So Seth, I know why he bothers putting the mask on anymore. He shows up, he stands at the announce table, takes 2 of his masks off. And,
I think because he really likes it.
I guess so.
Hey, can you put like a little masked man guy in my lower?
So bad. And so Heyman is in the ring with his back turned to Seth. And then he starts talking. He says, I told you I'd settle it like men. As some cops appear in front of Seth. Men in my family are snitches. We file lawsuits. We have restraining orders. You're going to jail. He says, once you go to jail, your wife is going to divorce you. He says, someone's going to call CPS on your daughter, but don't worry. Paul Heyman will adopt her so she doesn't have to go through life knowing her father. So with that, as the officers are leading Seth up the ramp, he charges back in the ring, decks Heyman. And so the cops get back in the ring and cuff Seth and lead him out.
and Heyman smiling in the corner. That's a sort of a recurring theme.
A motif, if you will.
A motif. People get laid out and they have the upper hand.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a lot of talking here. So we got the Becky promo.
It's real. I mean, it's pretty much Becky comes out, says, "I made the IC title what it is," and yet, I think she said my daughter was like she was walking like AJ doing the skip thing, right?
Yeah.
And she was upset about that. AJ comes out and pretty much challenges her for a title match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, I like that she says AJ's greatest claim to fame is when she mastered the Divas era. She says, I murdered the Divas era. I put a stake through its butterfly belted heart, and I'll do the same to AJ.
That was good. Yeah, she says here that her daughter was singing that stupid "Light It Up" song and skipping around the house.
Yeah. So AJ comes out. She says, she said, every time we met in this ring, I've walked you like a dog. You don't want to be embarrassed. I get that. Maybe that's what it'll take to get you out of my life and away from my title. So she says, I'll show you why I'm your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Apparently your daughter's too. So I'm going to give you what you want. AJ versus Becky for the X title at WrestleMania. Becky says, you skipped right into my trap, you dope. You have no idea what you're in for. She says, the last time you competed there, what happened the day after? You skipped in the office and handed in your resignation, and they didn't hear from you for 10 years. She says, I'll end you, and we'll never hear from you again. Welcome to the big time. So, yeah, I thought that, some story would be good here, but they're really not going that direction.
Not so much, no.
There's still 4 weeks, too.
I know, 26 days.
Video package, a pull-apart brawl.
Yeah.
And another promo, and then they'll skip a week.
The split screen interview, maybe?
Please, a split screen interview.
Dom got another shot at the Intercontinental title here before the match. Penta's backstage with I Show Speed.
Man.
What?
I would trade Logan Paul for Speed in a heartbeat. That dude has this shit down. He really does. I think he could be a good wrestler if he ever tried.
I think so, too. So Speed asks Penta to teach him how to do his strut. He does so. Dragon Lee comes up and introduces himself, and Speed says, "Wait, you're a dragon? I'm a dog." And then so they talk some more, and then Penta's got his match. They all wish him luck. Dom had a promo earlier as well, earlier in the show. I forgot to add that in here.
A little film promo, yeah.
Yeah. So his music hits to make his entrance, and right as he and Liv are coming out to the ring, Stephanie lays out Liv. They go brawling back to gorilla position. That takedown that Stephanie had on Liv on the floor in gorilla looked nasty.
Yeah, it did.
So they're brawling back there. Eventually they get pulled apart. Go to commercial, come back. Match happens. Of course, Finn gets involved. This was one of the more egregious examples of tunnel vision when someone's on the ramp. Dom had a day and a half to hit that frog splash on Penta.
Yeah.
And he just stared at Finn for no reason.
Yeah. And in fact, at one point from his vantage point, you got to think, I know he was high up because he was up on the top rope, but like Finn would have kind of disappeared because JD goes to attack him.
Yeah.
Goes all the way up. Finn goes all the way over to the side of the stage, throws him over the railing there, and then starts moseying back. And Dom the whole time is just... And then finally, eventually, after like a good solid 90 seconds, goes to do the frog splash, eats knees in a roll up. So Penta gets the win there. Finn charges in, drags Dom back, starts laying in shots, gets a sling blade, shotgun drop kick, heads up top for a coup de grace. JD's back, drags Dom out. Finn charges in, hits both men with a flipping senton, rolls Dom inside. Dom scurries away. And then
JD has to eat the coup de grace tonight.
JD eats that, yeah. So you'll probably get like a Finn JD match beforehand.
Yeah.
Before Mania. That'll be a good one.
It will be Finn up.
Finn definitely up, but at Mania, I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be Dom up.
Probably. Asuka and Kyrie took on Bayley and Lyra. Bayley and Lyra get the win here in a really fun match. This match was really good.
This was wildly fun.
That finish especially was really good, where
They're
Bayley
also
hits
damn good.
a Bayley to belly on Asuka on the announce table, looking for an elbow, but Asuka moves, so Bayley just gives the table the elbow. So then Lyra hits a wrecking ball drop kick on Kyrie. She tumbles into Asuka down on the floor. Lyra puts Kyrie in the ring, hits the Nightwing to get the win. Really fun match. And afterwards, Jackie interviews Bayley and Lyra, asks them about WrestleMania. And Bayley says, you'd think after we beat one of the best teams, we'd feel pressure. Nah, we feel damn good. Lyra says, Nash, Lash, Nia, you already have our names in your mouth because you know we're the ones who can beat you. And Bayley says, Lash, I know you're new. We're in the most famous arena in the world next week. How about we have a tag title match?
Yeah, Boston didn't like her referring to Madison Square Garden in that way, so they started booing her.
Yes.
But she's such a pro. She improv and said, hey, we're going to beat you guys. How about that?
Yeah.
And then they started cheering.
Yeah.
Said, yeah, okay, we'll end on that one then. That was good.
Yeah, it was great.
So then we had Asuka backstage screaming at Kyrie because of the finish. She said, if you care about our team, make it up to me. So she walks up. Of course, Io Sky is hovering. She says, look, I know we've had our ups and downs. You know what I appreciate about this too? Like earlier on, like months ago when this sort of started, they were like really being melodramatic with the performances.
Oh, this is all very, very grounded now. Yeah.
This is much more grounded now. And I think now this makes sense. I loved this stuff before, but I like that they've changed it up a little bit. It gives it a bit more, kind
of heft, emotional heft. Yeah.
So she says, I know we've had our ups and downs recently. She said, but you don't deserve this, Kyrie. You deserve better. And Kyrie don't know what to say because then Asuka says, Kyrie. So she walks off. And then Raquel walks up. And Raquel's like fucking 3 feet taller than Io, it seems like. She's so tall.
Yeah.
And it also looked like Raquel wanted to laugh during half of this, but she was like pathetic. Rhea leaves and Kyrie wants nothing to do with you. So now what? Why'd you do that last week? You're trying to befriend Stephanie? Says, all you did was cost me the satisfaction of putting her face in the mat. And Io says, and I'd do it again if I had a chance. So Raquel challenges her to a match next week. That should be a fun one as well.
That'll be a good one. Yeah. Javon Evans had a match against Grayson Waller. Throughout this match, Waller was imploring Kofi, help me win. And Kofi kept saying, I don't want to risk getting you DQ'd. You can do this yourself. He doesn't. Javon hits Rana off the top, follows with the OG cutter to get the win. And again, at the same time, Grayson turns to Kofi. He's like, why didn't you help me? And Kofi says, I don't want to get you DQ'd. I'd rather Evans win than you get DQ'd. Just stay focused.
Are they going to give these two, Kofi and Javon, a WrestleMania match? Because I mean, we're 4 weeks away. It's a feud. they're doing something with it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be terrific.
Oh, that'd be a fantastic bout. Yeah. Lastly, here,
I wish they would emphasize. Sorry, I don't mean to. I just want to go back to this really quick. I wish they would really emphasize a bit more that Kofi used to be a WWE champion. I know they bring it up.
Yeah,
but like getting a win over a former WWE champion, getting a win over a Kofi Mania guy, could be a really big deal for Javon.
Yeah.
And I think that playing that angle up would, I think, help that win a lot more at WrestleMania if that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Finally here, backstage, Pierce is talking to Speed. Danhausen walks in. And Steve, you want to do your Danhausen here?
Yes. He says, I had a question. How are you so famous when you only have 180 followers? Speed says, I have 180 million. So Dan gets on his phone. He's like, checks out. All right, give me your password. We'll call it I Show Speedhausen and we'll split the profits. Works great for both. He's like, no. He was like, all right, I got a new achievement for you. You are cursed. And Pierce is like, oh, man. And Speed's like, cursed? What do you mean? Where did he go? Why am I cursed? It was funny. I like I Show Speed.
Yeah.
And that's your Monday Night Raw, people.
That was Raw. Would you like to answer some questions?
Raw. Yes, I think that'd be good.
Do you want to plug some stuff? We haven't plugged anything yet, have we? We haven't plugged merch. We haven't plugged Friendo Club setup. We haven't plugged the WrestleMania Predictions Challenge. We're hoping to be the most massive Friendo Prediction Challenge ever.
In the world. Bang, zoom.
Ever.
So listen, it's real easy. It says it right up there above Larson's head. Click join right here or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson. Brand new bonus episode just dropped last week. You guys can check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's like an hour and a half of Larson and I just yapping away about 80s music videos, so it's amazing, obviously. So there's that. Also, the predictions challenge, the biggest one, bang, zoom, in history coming up. We got to put our heads together, figure out what prize is going to be on the line for WrestleMania.
When we go play basketball tomorrow, we should actually discuss that.
All right, let's discuss that. I know we typically, all we have is ball on the mind.
Yeah, it's usually all business.
Let's talk about that. And then, of course, you get access to the question threads, the questions we're about to read. They're all from channel members and patrons. So if you want in on all that, you know where to do it. Also, we've got merch. Oh, man, let me tell you, got this merch right here. You could wear this to a bar. Man, people will love you. They'll be buying you drink. You won't have to worry about buying drinks. You wear this shit into a bar, and they'll be like, free drinks for you. On the other hand, you wear this melty stuff right here. You buy this melty stuff. Guess what? You get a drink of wedgies. That's what you'll get. A 6-pack of wedgies if you buy this melty merch. In any event, you go to friendoshop.com and use promo code Friendo2026. Make sure you use the promo code.
Don't pay full price.
You don't want to pay full price for this stuff, man.
Don't pay full price.
Not good.
Don't pay full price.
So yeah, there's the plugs for you. Go ahead and answer some Friendo questions.
Josh M here says, what would it take for you to wear that terrible wig Rock is wearing in the Moana trailer?
Jeez, did you see that abomination? That whole
I only
trailer?
saw a still of the Rock in the wig.
It's the whole movie just looks like the original is beautiful. It's gorgeous.
It's a great film.
It is a great film. And this just looks like they're doing, I don't know. I mean, I'm not as well versed in the movie as maybe some. I've seen it several times because Bama loved it because it's a fucking awesome movie.
Yeah, it looks like basically shot for shot.
Is it? Okay, that's...
And the trailer looked pretty shot for... The very first trailer, like the teaser trailer, it looked shot for shot.
This does too. I saw that take. I just can't say that, for certain. But like, why?
I don't know. And like, why? They bill it as live action, and yes, there are actors rather than, voice actors performing the roles. But there's so much damn CG in this thing anyways.
And it's so ugly. Like the CG is so ugly. Like there's a way you can use the volume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And make it look good. Like a lot of the Star Wars stuff looks good. Some of it not great. Mm-hmm. Like I think the Obi-Wan, they used the volume like in a way that was like, this doesn't really all that great.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
It just seems unnecessary, especially for a movie that just came out a few years ago.
It seems wildly unnecessary.
It does. But
I mean, I'm assuming it's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah, I think that's Disney's expectation. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Mr. Sinister here asked if you guys had the opportunity to be front row to every WPLE but had to wear the same shirt, just like Green Shirt Guy. What shirt color and what emoji would you wear?
Well, I'd wear the one that you're wearing. This is a Friendo Club shirt.
No, it says what color shirt and what emoji would you wear? Volt shirt, poo emoji.
Oh, okay. A black shirt and like the detective guy emoji.
Oh.
He has like the
yeah
the fedora on.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Can we use a sticker instead?
Oh yeah, I know.
I prefer the stickers.
We'll get the sticker with the Chris Sabin doing the Motor City Machine Gun.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I was quick on that one.
You were.
Blake Whitehouse says, how do you keep Fatal Influence from getting Pure Fusion Collection vibes when they get called up? Well, Pure Fusion Collection was like just sort of thrown together. Yeah. Fatal Influence has been around for a while.
Roster, they were thrown together, whereas Fatal Influence been together for a while.
Although I still, I don't know. I don't watch NXT, so is it still just JC Jane and the other two are there?
And
it's Lainey.
No, because Jasmine Nix left.
Yeah, but the girl replaced her. It's like Lainey Reed.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But then Fallon Henley's still there.
Yeah, Fallon's still. She was Speed Champion, and somebody beat her for the Speed Championship.
Stony Moni here says, Steve, what's your beer of choice when you're getting your load on? Larson, same question.
I don't have like a standard. Like if like my bar that I go to, they don't have Pacifico. So if it's a place that has Pacifico, I'll get a Pacifico. Sometimes I'll get a Blue Moon. Sometimes I'll get a Stella. Sometimes I'll get a Michelob Ultra if I'm trying to like, hey, I need something that approximates water in calories.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I please get a Michelob Ultra?
That has a hint of beer flavor, yeah.
That has just a whiff of beer flavor.
Yeah.
So, because that's the selection, that my bar has of stuff that I like.
Yeah, yeah. I like Belgian beers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get like a Belgian triple, I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're stronger though, so if I'm not ready for something with that much oomph to it, just if there's a place that has local beers, I'll try, or a saison. I like a saison. It's good stuff. Not quite as heavy.
Cameron Shank, who's your favorite Simpsons characters?
Oof. Mr. Plow.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Gosh, there's so many good ones though. It's hard to.
Mo. What a fucking loser.
Yeah.
And yet he is the king of his castle.
He is?
Oh, but no, Troy McClure.
Oh yeah.
And then the other one that Phil Hartman played, the lawyer, Lionel Hutz.
Yeah, Lionel Hutz, yeah.
Lionel Hutz was awesome.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Oathbreaker here says, do you think the women's tag match at Mania could benefit from being a ladder match? 5 teams, ladder match?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Dude, any match can benefit better. It can be better with a ladder match.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. What, ladder war for the women's tag titles? Yeah.
Be awesome.
Ladder war.
Cruz asks, who gets the world title first, Oba or Bron? Oba should. He's already super over.
Yeah. Here's the thing. They're going to have a hard time telling stories with Oba because he's so big and he's a monster. Because they don't know how to do that shit. Bron's not a monster, and he's like more. I feel like they think he's less. I think they think that he's more dimensional, meaning he's got more range. And I think he probably, and there's some other universe where he's already won the world title because they want to put him in stories and shit. And the people in stories get the world title. So I think it'll probably end up being Braun, based on how creative works.
Could be. Call Me Aries says, is Jimmy finally justified for turning on Jay when Jay had to face Roman for the championship over the last few weeks? Jay has shown he doesn't have a switch to turn off this aggression unless it's from Roman. He would have been 100 times worse than Roman. Justified? Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, what's the question?
Is Jimmy finally justified for turning on Jay when Jay had to face Roman for the championship? It says Jay has shown he doesn't have a switch to turn off his aggression unless Roman directs him to. He would have been 100 times worse than Roman.
Oh, I feel you. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go back and revisit some of that stuff to like give a definitive answer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Dave Matushek says, with NXT's library now exclusive to YouTube, it migrated over from Peacock. Or they are migrating it over from Peacock. Of course, they do it in the most haphazard way.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can break down NXT by seasons. It's just like NXT episodes. And then like you even go through like chronologically, like the placement of the episodes, and they're all over the map.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with here. Dave wants to know, do you feel that seeing the developmental brand of WWE for free is beneficial or detrimental to its growth? Well, free is free. How would it be detrimental to their growth? Now, not being able to see it chronologically, all the stuff, if you want to, might
see
be
their
detrimental.
development in order.
You can actually see the development developing.
I guess
Developers.
All right, this is a good blind power rank for you, Steve. Are you ready?
Excellent. Yes.
You got a blind. This is from TK Youngboy.
Excellent.
Says blind power rank these 7 things from 2019 WWE.
Excellent.
Do some reminiscing here. Number 1 here.
Yep.
Usi Hot.
Uzi. Okay. Uzi Hot was pretty funny. I know it drove FT. The revival.
It was a revival.
The rival away from WWE. I know. But I feel like they probably should have lightened up a little bit, and they would have been fine because Paul was about to take over a couple of years. So Uzi Hot, I'm not hating on it. I'm going to say Uzi Hot is number 3.
All right. 3 of 7. Next up.
Here's the shitty thing is that there's a couple really good things in 2019, and I don't know if that's going to be at number 7 or if that's going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Next here, the Bobby Lashley Lana angle.
Okay. Did that have Dog Ziggler in it?
No, that was the Lana Dolph angle.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
I thought this was before 2019, though. I could be wrong.
It was late 2018. I think I did a modicum of research on that, but evidently I got that part of it wrong. Fuck, dude.
It's 2019, huh?
Refresh me on this one. This was like... didn't Liv come out and like they were supposed to be together, like her and Lana were supposed to be together? Mm-hmm. Is this the one where there was like a cuck involved? Were they gonna do something like that?
Maybe.
I forget, dude. I don't.
No, wasn't that the Mike Bennett one? That was Mike and Maria that was they were gonna do that.
I don't.
I think
honestly, it's bad and it's not memorable. Apparently, I'm gonna put that at number 6 because, like, I don't even remember, man.
All right, next up here, the wild card rule.
Boy, they really just didn't know what to do with Bobby Lashley.
No,
the wild card rule.
Or someone was it once a quarter? No, they had some rule. It's one of those justifications for someone switching brands.
It wasn't once a quarter. It was like 6 times a quarter.
Yeah, something like that.
Something weird. Man, honestly, like, I don't know whether to place confusing shit like that down so low. It was just, why did he overthink that stuff so much?
I know.
It was so was the wild card rule part of the shakeup? The shakeup was December of 2018.
18, yeah, maybe.
Because we were there for that.
Yeah, it might have been.
The wild card. I think that's where he announced it. Wild card.
Could be.
Not to be confused with this. What was
Wild Card Finals.
Wild Card Finals.
Still don't know why it was called the Wild Card Finals. I have no idea. It's just an episode of SmackDown. They decided to call it the Wild Card Finals. All right, where's the Wild Card rule? Where's the Wild Card rule going, Steve?
Why did they do that, man?
I don't know. It was a good episode of SmackDown, though.
They needed more Wild Card Finals. Oh my God, I gotta find it if I can fucking find it anywhere. Okay, stay on task. There's got to be something worse. I'm gonna put it number 5. Wild card rule.
I'm gonna switch up the order here a little bit. Make this
Stop
more fun.
switching up orders.
No, it's
Larson.
more fun to do it this way. Next up, let's do something we kind of like. A lot of people dumped on. Let's do Seth versus Bray Wyatt Hell in a Cell.
You know what? Fuck all you. Hell in a Cell number 1. Above Kofi Mania, above the women main eventing 29 WrestleMania 35, above the Fiend's debut. Hell in a Cell 2019 is the best thing about 2019 because the end made sense, Larson. It made sense. You know it. I know it. We're smarter than everybody who hated it.
Number 1, eh?
Number 1.
All right. We're going to put Shorty G.
Oh, my God. They just tried to kill that guy. They tried to kill Gable.
Mm-hmm.
With Shorty G.
Mm-hmm.
It's so bad.
It's terrible.
It's so uninspired. That makes me mad. Number 7, Shorty G.
What spots do you have left?
2 and 4.
All right, next here. Brock, Squash, and Kofi.
You know, you leave out the worst part about it. Brock squashing Kofi so that they can do Cain Velasquez.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll be honest. They weren't doing shit with Kofi as a champion anyways. The thing that really bums me out is because everybody gets caught. He never cared about getting a rematch. He never was like, hey, can we run this back?
Well, he did mention it years later.
Yeah, it was years later. Yeah. And yeah, it was bad. It was horrible. But honestly, it's so in line with Brock Lesnar. I suspect, my guess is that there's actually something good at number 2. So I'm going to put this low. I'm going to say Kofi squash at number 4. So what am I left with for number 2?
So the original last one was Brock squash and Kofi, and I decided to keep this one for the last one to see if it'd somehow be number 1 or if you'd foolishly put it number 7.
Oh, okay.
And that's 2 Eric Rowans.
Yes! I wish I had this at number 1. Dang it.
That's why I saved it to the end.
Yeah, okay. Man, oh man. Hey, I'll be honest. I nailed this list.
I don't know. I feel like you got to switch 2 Eric Rowans with Hell in a Cell.
No, you know why? Because Hell in a Cell is our moment of solidarity against the entire fucking IWC.
I know.
We lost subs. We had people in our comments talking shit. And I stand by that every fucking time.
So do I.
So no, on principle, that's number 1. 2 Eric Rowans is amazing, though.
That was so good.
Wild Card Finals.
The Wild Card Finals. Man, that was a good episode of SmackDown, I think, in 2016. Yeah. Yeah.
I got to go back. I think those are on Peacock.
What, SmackDowns?
Yeah, because they're still Universal.
They're
they're still under NBC Universal. Yeah. Damn it. There was a... Okay, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Darius had a good power rank in here, and I'm trying to find it. Darius says... Published, held. Is it still held? Son of a biscuit.
Uh-oh. Did you
Sometimes
lose it?
I do. So, yeah, sometimes I unblock it, and then it just doesn't. It goes
to the ether.
away.
It goes, huh?
Yeah, right. I like this one too. I'm not gonna have Larson power rank baseball players because that's no fun for me. Okay, so instead we'll end on this. We'll end on this one from Marquez. It's a blind power rank for you.
Sure.
And it is going to be... Hey, Darius, can you please resubmit the one you submitted tonight? Because it's not showing up. You're going to blind power rank these late artists you would love to go back and see live.
Oh, what a good one. How many are
I
there?
know. There are 8 of them.
8. Wow.
And this is definitely a trip through a variety of music eras and artists.
Cool.
Number 1.
1.
Starting off strong with the Beatles.
Wow. But the thing is, it depends where. Because if it's one of their huge stadium shows, you can't hear them.
Honestly, there's only 2 situations by which you'd want to see the Beatles live.
It's either the Cavern Club or at the roof of Apple Records.
That's exactly fucking
That's
right.
it.
That's it.
That's it.
Everywhere else, you can't fucking hear
You
them.
won't be able to hear them.
Nope.
So I can't...
Being at the Cavern would be badass, though.
But, they never performed, arguably their peak period live.
No, you'd be hearing a bunch of fucking covers of, bullshit.
Or you'd hear just multiple takes of 4 songs from Let It Be,
Yeah, because they did that on the rooftop, yeah.
So, if you're telling me, oh, you get to hear all of Revolver live? Fuck yeah, that's high.
Yeah.
But it's still the Beatles, though. To say that you saw the Beatles is pretty cool. So I'll put the Beatles at 3.
You know the one Beatles thing that I would love to go back in time and do? The filming of the music video for Day in a Life, because it was just a party.
Yeah.
They just threw a party and had some cameras there. There was probably some wild ass shit going on at that party.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2.
2.
The King, Elvis Presley. Yeah, right.
Okay, whatever on Elvis.
My mom saw Fat Elvis live.
Yeah, I think my parents did too. I mean, he was in Vegas forever.
I think she saw him in Reno.
I'll put Elvis at 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I'd go and hear Suspicious Minds and a couple of their songs and be like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah. But then, like, that's the thing. Like, especially if you get to Fat Elvis, you'd hear half of Suspicious Minds. He'd be sweating up a storm. Then he'd start cracking jokes.
And then just move on to something else.
Yeah. Next up, Nirvana. I mean, dude, that was the one that you missed out on.
Yeah. I wanted to go. I asked my dad.
That was the holy grail, man. Your dad said, "No, idiot, you've done too many of these concerts. I'm tired of it."
Yeah, I'm putting Nirvana number 1.
Gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, I've never heard you talk about this person, Janis Joplin.
Not a fan of Janis Joplin, honestly. I understand that a lot of people really like her. Her music doesn't do a whole lot for me.
I know one song.
Yeah, I know a couple of her songs, but so I guess 7.
7 it is. Saving that precious 8th spot.
Yeah, I don't know. There's probably something terrible on here.
Well, you'll have some tough decisions to make.
Probably. I probably should put Elvis at 5 instead of 6 and Janis at 6 instead of 7.
Next up, Tupac Shakur.
I'll put... Gosh, that's tough. Because the stuff I like at Tupac's I really like.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But I don't know. I'll put Tupac at 2.
Tupac at 2. All right. Next up, Jimi Hendrix.
Okay. All right. I'll put Jimmy at 4.
Jimmy at 4. All right. Next up, King of Pop, Michael Jackson.
Oof. I guess Michael's at 5.
All right. Well, gosh darn it. You accomplished the task, Larson. You successfully put at number 8, Rob Pilatus from Milli Vanilli. You ever see that video of them trying to sing?
I think so, yeah.
Them trying to sing the songs that they actually got famous for that they didn't sing.
Yeah.
Girl, you know it's true. Girl. And they got like a vocal coach. No, girl. No, girl, you know it's true. Like, listen to Borat try to sing that song.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Oh, goodness.
Girl, you know it's true. Ooh. Oh, boy. All right, well, I was going to do it for the show.
Yeah, that's going to do it.
Thanks, everybody. Girl. That's going to do it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.